Hey guys, now that you've had a chance to look into chapter one, you've learned a little bit about the basics of communication. But I want to talk to you guys about what I think is the biggest takeaway from the chapter, and that's communication competence. Communication competence, detailed on page 19, and you'll see that the definition is attributed to Professor Brian Spitzberg. That's my old advisor in San Diego. So I know a little bit about this stuff. And I feel like this is at the core of what we're going to be talking about this semester. Communication competence is a measurement, the degree to which you are able to be successful in a communication endeavor. And it's broken down into two key variables: appropriateness and effectiveness. Now, your activity for this week is actually going to involve measuring communication competence in various scenarios. Appropriateness is best described as the degree to which you are able to preserve and foster a relationship in any given situation, right? So if you were to get into a discussion with a friend or a family member or a romantic partner, and at the end of that conversation, your relationship is a-okay, or you haven't done too much to damage it, then you probably acted appropriately. If you called somebody names or broke some of the rules or social norms, which we'll talk about from later chapters, you might score lower on appropriateness, right? Following the rules and fostering relationships. The other side of the coin, though, appropriateness is effectiveness. And effectiveness is the degree to which you get stuff done, right? It's the degree to which you get what you want out of a situation, that you accomplish your goals. And so, if I were to go to Starbucks, or as I just went down today, even though it was closed, a cup of Commonwealth, and order a cup of coffee, and I'm friendly and polite, and I pay for my coffee, and I get my order, and it's what I ordered, then I was both appropriate, and I got what I wanted, so I was effective. Now, there are some other ways that you might want to look at this too. Sometimes it's possible to get what you want, even while you're saying screw it to the relationships. And so some examples might be stealing or screwing somebody over. And you might be able to get what you want while ruining the possibility of a relationship, burning bridges, right? So what I want you guys to do for your activity is I would like for you to consider examples in which you can track the appropriateness and effectiveness of a situation. And what I'll do right here is I will show you the chart that I like to use. I like to track appropriateness on the vertical axis and effectiveness on the horizontal axis, just like you're tracking X and Y, and measure where we will plot any number of our scenarios. One key example that I like to use is this scenario from back in the day. Now, I want you guys to consider that I was out on what I thought was a date with someone. Well, we were hanging out a lot, and I asked if we could go to the movies, and she was like, yeah, and we both hung out before, and we paid for our food ourselves, and we both paid for our own tickets. We'd never really done anything romantic before, but it was really a date. I could probably tell she was into me, right? And over the course of the evening, we watched the movie, and every so often I would slide my hand over and touch her hand, and she would leave it there for a second before she pulled it away. And at the very end of the movie, and the credits were rolling, I was like, this is my moment, and I went in for a kiss. Effective? Appropriate? Where would you rate it? And what happened? Your guess. That's example number one. Example number two is, let's put myself in another romantic situation. I think that I am doing a good job at being a good boyfriend, and I have a chance to go with my then girlfriend up for a weekend and meet her family, the parents, the extended family, the cousins, everybody's going to be there. And I bring my A game, right? I show up and I say, I am going to get stuff done. I am going to accomplish my goal of being labeled a good boyfriend. So I am laughing in the kitchen with the mother. I am working in the garage with the father. Stereotypical, yes, but true. And I am doing chores. I am cleaning up. I am doing everything that I could do to preserve and foster those relationships. But after that weekend, even though I thought that I was killing it, she breaks up with me. So, where would you plot that on the chart? So, remember, I want you guys to plot appropriateness and effectiveness. Appropriateness on the vertical axis, effectiveness on the horizontal axis. And I want you to tell me where you would plot those situations. If we know that when I bought a cup of coffee and I was friendly and I paid for it and I even tipped, that I preserved that relationship and I received what I wanted, that was both appropriate and effective. If I walked in, asked for something for free, and yelled at them when they didn't give it to me, I didn't get what I wanted, and I probably ruined my chance of going back there again. So that would be low on both, and the other one would be high on both. So I want you to tell me where these two situations would be plotted. Then I want you to come up with a couple situations of your own. Now I know you're probably wondering, where would I chart those experiences on the appropriateness effectiveness chart of communication competence? Let me tell you. So the first example, the date. Well, here's the thing. For those of us who study communication and those who are aspiring to learn more about it, you guys, we need to get better at being open about what we think and expect and want. And so this is not just a little bit of a side chat about enthusiastic consent, but here's the deal. In my story, I told you that she never hinted at wanting me. I just assumed it, right? So I was probably acting inappropriately. Remember, I didn't do this, but somebody that was doing something like that was acting inappropriately, probably. And so you have to ask yourself this question. Anybody could surprise hug or surprise sneak around somebody and surprise kiss them on the cheek. And so if the goal was to sneak attack hug somebody or sneak attack kiss somebody on the cheek, then maybe you can accomplish your goal and you can call it a success. But the problem is, that's probably not your goal. The goal is probably your 100th hug or your 100th kiss. And so that right there was probably a fail because it was inappropriate and we did not ultimately achieve the goal. Now, the first time I told this story, I had a student who cut me off and said, nope, that is appropriate and effective because I like my man to take control. And while I appreciate that opinion, I want to acknowledge that this situation probably wasn't one of those where the person should have taken control, right? Though I do appreciate that opinion. Now, the second example was one where I was trying to be appropriate, very appropriate, right? Foster those relationships. And it ended up not getting me what I wanted, to be that good boyfriend. So it turns out that you can be too appropriate and ineffective. And so by focusing too much on being nice or preserving and fostering the relationship, you might not be taking action in order to be effective in the areas that you need to. So it turns out that every situation has an interesting mix of appropriateness and effectiveness. And we're going to play with a couple of those here. So I would like for you to come up with some examples from your own life, right? Actual examples, things, even mundane examples, things that happened recently. And we'll see where we chart those things. All right? Okay. So let's have some fun. If you have any questions about this, read the directions in the text below. But other than that, I think you guys could probably handle it. Give chapter 1 a read, and I hope you enjoy this activity.